Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg had a private meeting with the president-elect today at Mar-a-Lago.
It's not clear that whether Zuckerberg saw this meeting or Trump saw this meeting.
A Meta spokesperson confirmed it, said it was Trump who invited Zuckerberg, and that Zuckerberg was, quote, grateful for the meeting. Facebook booted Trump off the platform after January 6th, before then reinstating his account in 2023. The two have had, let's just call it a rocky relationship, to say the least.
Zuckerberg had expressed praise for Trump earlier this year for his defiant posture after he was shot in Butler, Pennsylvania by a would-be assassin.
Mark Zuckerberg met with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago a few weeks ago. Zuckerberg is just sucking Trump's teat because that's what the wealthy do. They play nice when it suits their needs. Zuckerberg and Trump have never had a great relationship, and Trump was even kicked off of the Facebook platform.
Let's just start with this Mark Zuckerberg meeting.
I'm not surprised that he would want to go see the president-elect, and I'm not surprised Donald Trump would want to see him too. I mean, these are two of the most powerful people in the world, and they can probably help each other with a tremendous amount of stuff, whether it's of a policy nature or information distribution nature. I see Mark Zuckerberg engaging with Trump. This is a good thing.
He's got a significant policy interest in this. Having served on the antitrust subcommittee in Congress, I know that regulating the world's largest tech companies, Facebook, Google, Apple, and Amazon, is one of those rare areas of bipartisan consensus. Republicans want to do it for different reasons.
Trump actually wants to have him jailed, if we can all recall that. So what's it all about? Why this meeting?
One phrase and three numbers, Section 230. The social media giants currently are protected from liability suits based on Section 230. Media companies could be sued if they say things that defame other people, but social media companies cannot. A lot of Republicans in Congress, people like Josh Hawley, think that means they should be liable. If you're making decisions about the content on your platform, that means you're not just neutrally hosting it, then you should not have that special liability protection. With Republicans in charge, both the White House and Congress, I think Section 230 reform is on the agenda. Mark Zuckerberg, he doesn't want to be on the wrong side of that.
Section 230 reform protects and removes accountability and liability of big tech companies like Facebook from facing the consequences of blatant censorship and potential harm of AI that's integrated into the Meta platform. If Republicans strip those protections, Facebook could actually face consequences for its blatant censorship. But will Republicans push to remove some of these ridiculous protections on big tech and create real accountability?
You just signed an amicus brief that argued for the most robust interpretation of Section 230, which is just translation, the most robust protections for the most powerful, profitable corporations in the history of the world. So clearly you have a lot of thoughts on Section 230. Senator Blumenthal and I, who you were just talking to a second ago, he and I have a bipartisan bill that would say that parents and others who are harmed by AI should be able to get into court and have their day in court against your members, just like any American can do with any other company, right?
Brendan Carr has been very critical of a lot of these tech companies, including Meta, including Mr. Zuckerberg. Brendan, in case you didn't hear, is Donald Trump's choice to chair the FCC.
There's a lot we can do with the FCC that I plan on doing. There's a lot the Federal Trade Commission can do as well. And Congress, now that we have both houses of Congress in Republicans' hands, a lot of the tech issues are bipartisan, to be clear, but when it comes to cracking down on censorship, it has been Republicans that have shown more leadership and interest there. So I think across the agencies, across Congress, we need to work together to frankly smash the censorship cartel and restore free speech in the country, because it's actually a straight line from there to economic growth as well.
Well, there's a whole new sheriff in town. He wasn't referring to Donald J. Trump. He was referring to you heading the FCC, particularly your comments about smashing the censorship cartel. I assume you were talking about the big social media tech players.
Yeah, there's a lot we can do with the FCC. One is Section 230 is part of the Communications Act. We can take a look at that because, frankly, courts have added immunities into the provisions that are found nowhere in the law passed by Congress. We can impose transparency obligations through existing FCC laws. And we can also take a look at working with the Federal Trade Commission. Commissioner Ferguson there had a statement recently that said, look, if social media companies are colluding to not compete on speech regulation, that's really no different than an agreement not to compete on pricing or another sort of traditional competition metric.
But Commissioner, who runs the show? You're competing, not competing, but you have to work with the FTC, to your point, the Federal Trade Commission, the Justice Department separately. So could there be some butting of heads in the offing here?
I don't think so. I mean, look, all of this flows ultimately from President Trump. He had the foresight on this issue before a lot of other people, speaking out in favor of free speech. It's his agenda at the end of the day. It's his cabinet picks. It's his administration. It's his policies. And I think you're going to see a lot of unity, not just on this tech censorship, but on economic growth in general. There's a lot of parallels right now with 24 to 2016. In my sector, things flatlined in 16. Spectrum, infrastructure weren't going anywhere. We revitalized it. Unfortunately, we flatlined again the last couple of years. And President Trump's policies have turned the economy around once before. They're going to do it again. It's going to be a really good run for the economy here.
You know, Commissioner, you didn't write the Project 25 planning document, but you did write on the FCC in that document and the role it should play, in which you argued that you should regulate the highest and the largest tech companies.
We need to return to free speech, diversity of opinions. Does it mean that everybody has to see speech they don't like? No, not at all. My view is let's empower individual users that are participating in these digital town squares. You can mute people, you can block people, but let's put those decisions back in the hands of everyday Americans and not have them centralized in Silicon Valley.
Zuckerberg meeting Trump isn't a coincidence, it's a calculated move. He knows the GOP has the power to rewrite the rules, and he's trying to get ahead of the storm. But let's not forget, this is the same guy who played a central role in silencing dissent for years. Can we trust him to suddenly care about free speech? Probably not. This is about saving his company, not standing up for your voice. Is this the start of real accountability or just more big tech games? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more bold, unapologetic content.